My country craft corner. How y'all doing again today? Well, here I come with yet another video in our Stacey and Arlynn's kitchen series, and I am going to be making our family cheesecake for you today. I think my grandmother found this recipe again on the side of a Duncan Hines classic yellow cake mix. It is currently not on there. As a matter of fact, when I went through that recipe book, I forgot about that. I did find it, and she did cut it off of a Duncan Hines cake mix box, classic yellow. So that's one of the ingredients that we need. And you may think, what in the world is she doing making a cheesecake with a Duncan Hines cake mix? Well, you'll see what I'm fixing to do with it, and it turns out perfect every time, and it is delicious every time, and everybody loves it every time, I promise. So I'm going to turn my camera around, point it down, and we'll go through the steps that it takes to make this scrumptious cheesecake. Alrighty, I'm back. Be right back. Now, I've made this recipe, I don't know, about 50 times in my life, honestly. So I can do this without a recipe, but check out my recipe. Look at it. It's pitiful. It is just pitiful. You will find this recipe down in the description, and I might try to type it up and kind of give you a freeze frame.
Cannot believe you're giving that one away.
I know. I know. This is a good one, you guys. I mean, this is one that the family just doesn't. That's Kristen waving at you. Stacey and Kristen are sitting right here.
Peanut gallery.
All right, first thing you do is to just grease the bottom of it. And I always use a glass baking dish. I don't know why. I don't think it makes a difference, but I always do, so I don't sway from that because, you know, I jinx myself and it wouldn't work out. So anyway, just grease. You don't have to flour. Just grease the bottom of a glass 13 by 9 inch baking dish. And I just use Crisco. You can use whatever your choice of lard is. All right, set that aside. And then the first thing you're going to do is make your crust for this, and that's where the cake mix partially comes into play. First thing you want to do is I thought I had everything, hang on. Reserve a cup of the cake mix. Little Smokies are done.
Are they ready?
Yeah. You gonna let them cook more?
Oh, baby. Yeah, I'm gonna let them go a little longer. I like mine really crispy.
Okay. We're gonna let them go till this pup. What you do with this recipe is you preheat your oven to 300. We're actually gonna have to take our heat down a little bit on the oven.
Yeah, I actually didn't have enough patience for the little Smokies at 325, so I pretty much jacked my oven temperature up to get a good crispy coating or whatever on the little Smokies. So feel free to do that if you wanted to too.
I'm going to put a little card up here in the right hand corner so that you guys can click on it and go to the little Smokies recipe if you want to see that. So, which is delicious and I highly recommend it. All right, so anyway, for the rest of, there's 1 cup. So you set that aside and then you pour the rest of the cake mix into a mixing bowl.
320, what do you want your temperature?
300, I believe.
Oh, 300.
Yeah. It is, yeah, 300. Okay, preheat your oven to 300 for the cheesecake. All right, so we have the rest of the Duncan Hines Classic Yellow Cake Mix in this mixing, this is a measuring cup, but this is what I use as my mixing bowl. If I don't pull out my big mixer, which I really don't for this because it doesn't really take that much, I just use this and my hand mixer. I have my little handy dandy Cuisinart hand mixer here. Okay, so you add 1 egg. Again, we're making the crust. You add 1 egg And it says it calls for 2 tablespoons of Crisco oil. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the last couple, I don't know if something has changed or if the humidity makes a difference or what. But the last time I made this, I did it with 2 tablespoons and it was gummy almost. The crust was almost gummy on the bottom, which is fine, but it's hard to get mixed up or it's hard to get spread out in the pan. So this time I'm going to start out using just a tablespoon and a half, and we'll see how that works. And if I need to add a little bit, I'd rather start out with less and then have to add instead of, you know, adding too much first. So it's kind of 1 1/2. And we're going to see the consistency of this. Chris has walked in now. The gang is all here today, standing here over my shoulder.
Supervisor.
Yep. So let me just mix this just for a little bit. And we'll see what the consistency is. Getting gummy again. What in the heck? It's a little better with a little less. I tell you,
I wonder if the formulation on the Crisco.
On the Crisco's changed. You remember? Because it used to just come out really creamy.
I wonder if they just use vegetable oil or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Anyway, well, we'll make this work, no problem. Trust me, it's not going to hurt the taste one way. Okay. Then all we do is we pour it into the baking dish. I think I could get all my utensils that I need. And usually you can kind of just spread it like that, but it's not going to work. So what I'm going to do, my hands are clean, I promise. I'm going to stick my fingers like as if you're sticking them in flour and just kind of push this along the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and speed up this part because it's going to take me a little while. So I will be right back. Oops. Okie dokie, I'm back. And as you can see, this was still moist, even with using only about 1.5 tablespoons of cooking oil. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's fine like this, and I was able to spread it all the way, along the bottom of the 13 by 9 inch pan. So it's fine. It's definitely different than it was a decade ago. I don't know, somebody's changed something somewhere along the line. But regardless, that's fine. Or you could even use just 1 tablespoon and work up from there. So, well, there we go. We have our crust prepared. Now we need to mix the filling. So the first thing we do is take 2 8-ounce packages. Again, the recipe will be in the description of this video. So you take 2 8-ounce packages, softened cream cheese. That's important. Be sure to soften your cream cheese. If not, you're going to end up with lumps of cream cheese. And that just isn't nice. That doesn't taste good to anyone. So we take 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese and 1/2 cup of plain white sugar. And we want to cream those 2 together. And again, I'm just using the hand mixer. You can use your big mixers if you want. But for something like this, it really is not that big of a deal. You just cream it together. Make sure the sugar is nice and incorporated. And then you want to add your eggs. They say 1 at a time. You know what, you guys? Just add all 3 eggs. I don't add them 1 at a time. I've tried it that way. I've done it without doing it 1 at a time. It doesn't make one lick of difference. Add your eggs and add your 1 cup of reserved cake mix. And mix it all together. And then I'll just take a spoon and eat it like this. No, I'm just kidding. So get it all nicely incorporated. And then we're going to do a little something extra that you're probably going to be surprised at, but it makes it really good. What I like to do about halfway through is scrape down the sides. Make sure you get all that goodness in there. Okay, then we even take it, you know, most people will put that in their pie dish or whatever they make their cheesecake in with, say, a graham cracker crust, and that would be lovely. But we're gonna bake this cheesecake. So what the recipe called for, and again, this recipe is extremely old, probably back in the 50s or 60s at least, I would say. And they have you add, I think I could get all my stuff out here. Do you think I could get all my stuff? It's driving me nuts. 1.5 cups of milk, which probably seems very strange, and you are not going to believe how thin this batter will get. But honestly, I remember I made this in front of my dad one time, and he was like, "No, what are you adding water for, or milk for? What are you doing that? That's going to make it too thin." I said, "Dad, trust me, I've made this 100 times. I don't know, that might be too thin." I was like, "Dad, trust me." So you add 1.5 cups of whole milk, and use whole milk. Go ahead. Don't use skim milk. I've never tried it with skim milk, and I wouldn't for cheesecake. So 1.5 cups.
I mean, my goodness, if you're having a piece of cheesecake,
yes.
you can't be too worried about calories and fat content.
For sure.
So use whole milk.
For sure. And then I just used 3 teaspoons of vanilla. And I got this at my Amish store. It's just Shank's Pure Vanilla Extract. Of course, you can use whatever you have. Doesn't make a difference. So 3 teaspoons of vanilla. Having a hot flash.
Uh-oh.
It's always fun. All right. I have a little bit more, but that's okay. It'll just add to the taste. And then you just finish mixing it. And now you're going to see this batter get really thin. So I keep it pretty low. And you know, the first time I did it, I will admit, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I did something wrong. I didn't follow the instructions." And then I was like, "No, I got to go with it. That's what the recipe said." And you guys, it works out every single time. Again, I want to scrape down the sides. You can see, really needs to do, you really need to do that, or you're going to end up with lumpy cheesecake. Alrighty, that should do it. And then all you do is simply pour it in and over the crust. Look how smooth and luscious that looks. Yum. Of course, I'm so right-handed, as you all know. Hang on. Here we go. And then you bake it at, as I said, 300 for 45 to 55 minutes. And you can use a toothpick, to make sure that it's firm. Do not overcook it. That's important. Do not overcook it because it can get dry. So just cook it. It usually takes, in my oven, which actually is, as we just found out, is not real hot, but it usually takes me about 50 to 52 minutes. So I'm going to start the timer at about 50 minutes, and I'll let you know where I bring it out at. So, and then today we have chosen, my dad and Stacey's dad loves blueberries. So we always top our cheesecakes with blueberries.
Except nobody except them likes blueberries.
So today we are going to use cherries for us.
That's what we like.
Because that's what we like. That's what we're going to use. Okie dokie, folks. I'm going to go ahead and check this cheesecake, and I'm going to use a toothpick and see how we're doing here. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Take a picture of that.
Oh,
isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Looks like it could use some cherry topping.
I think it might need a little bit of cherry topping on it. I'm going to put it right over here on the counter and let it cool. And when it's completely cool, then we put that can of cherries on it, which I'll video that doing that too. And then we put it in the refrigerator and let it get nice and chilled. And then we'll be having a piece of this later too. So we'll be back. Okie dokie. Cheesecake is ready to top. It's nice and cool. It's been sitting out about, I would say about an hour, hour and a half. And so I have my cherry pie filling ready to go. And all you do is just pour it on the top. And that's it. And spread it out. And then you put it in the refrigerator and let it chill. And we will be back later for a taste test on this too. Just spread out the cherries. And that is it, you guys. Really, really, really good. Trust me. All right, there we go. Be right back for a taste test later. Alrighty, everybody, we're ready to do a little taste test for our cheesecake. Here we go. Cheers.
Oh, I want the corner piece.
No, you can't have the corner piece. It's mine.
I'll just eat this piece.
See, I can be tough.
Oh, fun.
Right? Very good. You
Yeah,
guys gotta
that came
try
out
it,
great.
honestly. Works out every time.
So good.
Here it is, sets up every time. It is awesome.
And
All right, you guys.
I think the cherry is better than the blueberry.
I do. We love the cherry. We definitely love the cherry. So that's it, you guys. And we are going to go get on the couch and probably go into a food coma, honestly. So for now, we will just say, until next time, you guys take good care. Bye-bye.